Welcome to Winning Inside, the show where we follow the journey from feeling defeated to winning. Here are your hosts, Cheddy Matthews and Michelle Wickman.
Hello, amazing people. Welcome to the Winning Inside podcast, where we discuss real issues, topics, and solutions to help you regain your spark. We know life happens, and we can choose to be a spectator or a participant.
These conversations and stories are about the participants, the ones who made the choice to do the inner work and found a way to keep moving forward.
Awesome. Today, hey everybody, how you all doing? Today I got something really exciting for you because we have on the show today our first guest, because usually it's just Michelle and I bantering, but we have our first guest today, and it's Detective Kevin Doucette of the New Orleans Police Department. Hey Kevin, how are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I am outstanding. It is an honor and a privilege to have you on this show, even though I can't say the word privilege today. It is so great to have you on here.
It's so great to be here with you.
So you haven't really met Michelle up until just a few minutes before the podcast, but
right.
We really love your story. Like we just think you are a cup of awesome and then some. I mean, I've known that for years, but I'm just grateful for you to be here and to share your story. So I'm going to stop talking, and I want you to start the show.
Sounds good. And thank you again for having me. I really do appreciate that. It has been an incredible journey. And my journey started on April 21st, 2020, while serving a warrant for he was a pretty dangerous individual. He had,
that's an understatement, by the way. That's an understatement.
Definitely an understatement. While going through the house, while searching the house, we found this individual hiding in the bathroom. And literally, as soon as I opened the door, he began firing on me and members of my team.
Wow.
During that time, the initial gunfire, I was struck in my right arm and went into another bedroom while he was still firing at that point in time. And he came out of the bedroom, and him and I were involved, and we got into a fight, and he shot at me 2 more times until I was able to subdue him, and my backup was able to come and help me out.
You say that story so matter-of-factly, but I want the listeners to really capture the fact that he opened the door and was shot immediately, then was continued to tackle and wrestle and engage the individual who had shot him and who had continued to shoot him and subdued that individual. Hello, superhero movie. I mean, that's like, I only know that's real because I've seen the footage, A, and I know it's real because I'm hearing you tell it, B. This is mind-blowing. I don't want the gravity of that to be lost on anybody. And I'm amazed. My jaw is always on the floor when we go through this kind of stuff. But wow. Michelle, I'm sure you have questions. Go ahead.
Yes.
Sorry, Kevin. I wanted to hear what you were going to add there.
Adrenaline will do something for you when you're in those type of situations. And thankfully, it just took over the right way. I'm definitely extremely grateful and extremely blessed. I thank God every day for how things turned out. Even though, I had a bad injury, I'm very grateful to be able to still be here and talk with you guys, to even talk about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, Cheddy mentioned watching the footage. I was able to view it as well. And the part about it, you even think, oh, I was shot in the arm. It sounds very sort of casual, but arm injuries, they can run the gamut. And this was a pretty significant injury that it's something that you're still actively recovering from. And that is a long, long process. So some people might think, oh, it's, a flesh wound in and out just through the muscle or whatever that looks like. But that's not the case for you.
No, not at all. Unfortunately, I was hit directly in my right elbow, which is my dominant arm. The bullet was a .40 caliber bullet with a hollow tip. So when it hit my arm, it completely shattered my elbow. It broke both the bones in my forearm, and my humerus bone was broken. And because it didn't have any stability, it came out through the inside of my skin on the inside of my arm. So it was pretty graphic.
Yeah, that is a career-ending injury, many would say, for all kinds of jobs and careers and positions. So I'm so curious. I mean, the work that we do, this podcast is so much about the work that happens on the inside. And with something so traumatic happening like that, like physically traumatic, it can also have such a huge mental impact.
Absolutely.
Both taking you away from something that you were doing every single day, and you're incredibly passionate about your job as well. So can you share with us what that impact was in that moment, in the, few months right after that had happened? What kind of shift mentally you had?
It was, I don't like to sound like a pity party or anything, but it was really tough because I got shot right when COVID happened.
Mm.
So while in the hospital, I was just there by myself. Like I couldn't have any visitors, mom, dad, kids. I couldn't see anybody. So it was very depressing in the beginning. And, I really do say this and I mean it. Like I live for my kids, and they look up to me. And so my mind frame has always been stay positive, stay focused. This is something that happened, but things in life happen. Just like how Cheddy said in the beginning, like you have to just keep pushing. So my mind frame never went really bad because of my kids, honestly. But it was tough because I couldn't see them.
Absolutely.
And I have to imagine that had to have been tough on both sides. That's tough for you, but it's tough for your children. And I know how close you are to your babies. That had to have been mind-blowing. Just the torture, the isolation, the solitude. And you're left with one thing, your thoughts. Whatever channel the TV's on, which is probably pure misery because you're a guy that likes to get up and go and do. And here you are riding a bed.
Yeah. And it was bad. My first week in the hospital, I had 3 surgeries. So honestly, man, I couldn't even tell you what my mind frame was at that point in time because I just was so out of it.
Medication.
And because of the size of the wound then, and I guess just the nature of how it happened, it got infected.
Oh yeah.
And going through that was the life changing, the life battle that I had to go through because this bacteria had gotten my blood and I got really, really sick. I had lost a lot of weight. And, you're just in there by yourself. You don't have anybody to really pick you up. And at that point in time, I didn't even have my phone because my phone was tied to the case. So it literally, you're sitting there in your thoughts, but you just have to put one foot in front of the other. Like that's just the mind frame that I have. You can't let that type of stuff beat you.
And it's funny because I totally empathize when I heard about the infections, I was like, oh my gosh, I had a spine surgery, as you know, because I was like, hey, how you doing? I heard you had an injury. I didn't even realize how bad it was when I was saying that. I was like, yeah, I just had a spine surgery. And my spine surgery got expected. And I was afraid of them going back in the spine and doing that work again. So they got to go back in there and clean, scrub.
Yeah, they have to go back in
out.
and wash it out. And
yeah,
it just was a lot.
It was a
Graphic.
lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
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 Can
So
I
just
ask
visualize
you,
that.
Have you always had, I mean, you mentioned like, I just had to keep a positive mindset, and something that you mentioned is something that, Cheddy and I speak with our clients both, which is being able to differentiate between the thoughts that show up in your head and then factually what happened. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
you tend to focus really clearly like, hey, these are just circumstances of my life right now. They don't define me. And so you're really able, you like delineate that. And that's what helps you to stay focused on the healing and staying with a positive mindset. Have you always had that? Or is that something that you've developed over time?
That was something I developed because initially I took everything very personal. When he would have shot any one of us who went through that door, that was business. And once I started understanding that and getting my mind frame off of that and not being so angry about the situation, I was able to focus more on healing instead of, just putting too much energy and thought and wanting vengeance or wanting just anything just to be better at that point in time. I had to take myself out of that realm and just say, okay, we need to focus on what you need to focus on today. Because for a while it did feel like I was crashing. I went through a period of depression where, it was very tough. It was very tough.
Yeah. It's interesting. The other day I was thinking about it. It's like, you know what? It's because he was a Marine why he's so resilient. And I was like, no, he was a Marine, but you were already resilient. That's probably why you became a Marine. That's why you're a law enforcement officer now. You just have that intrinsically in you. But that's not something that you're born with. That's something that you've developed over time. And I think where does that come from?
So my father was a police officer, and I had both of my grandfathers were in the military. Both of them served in the Army. So they, from a young age, have always instilled in me that you can't worry about things that happen. You have to just keep moving forward because life will inevitably go on.
Yeah.
The sun's going to go up, it's going to go down. And if you hold on to that, then you're like trapped in that place forever. So I've had that in my brain since a child. And I just always just felt like I'm not going to let something beat me. Like it's just not worth it.
That's
I love
amazing.
That.
Yeah. I mean, if that's a legacy that you pass on even to your children, that is such a powerful mindset. And that's the kind of legacy that it just transcends life itself, right?
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you for sharing that.
This is awesome to me because I feel like I know like a real world superhero. Now, if you don't have a cape, I can actually try and order you one. Just let me know the colors you need.
Get it on Amazon.
Just get it on.
I don't feel, but the thing is, I don't feel like a hero.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that at all. I just feel like I signed up to do this type of job because I feel that there are people out here that really need help from people who prey on people who can't defend themselves or in vulnerable situations to where they can't say anything or do anything. And that's why I enjoy being in the Marine Corps so much. And that's why I enjoy being a police officer so much.
So it's just, you just have a given spirit. It's just intrinsically what you do. I mean, service is service. And you
genuinely like to help people out. Yeah. Genuinely.
And that shows, occupationally that shows. It's just your heart. And you've always, as long as I've known you, you've been that way. And I've had the opportunity of knowing you for less than 20 years, 19 years now, believe it or not.
19 years, yes.
All right, I feel old saying that. All right, everyone, we're going to take a commercial break right now. I need an emotional commercial break because I just realized how old I am. I feel like an old fart right now. Thank you for that. Thank you, Kevin. I apprciate that.
You brought it up, honey.
You know what? I brought it up and then I walked into it. I was like, why did I just walk into that? It was the thought that ran through my mind, so I spat it out. And I can't unspit that. Wow.
You said that, sorry, I'm circling it back to your story. Okay. You mentioned that this event occurred at the beginning of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So now God, how long has it been? 2 years?
We're going into year 3.
It will be 2 years in April, so it's been 22 months.
Wow. Okay. So it's been 22 months since this happened.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
And you mentioned a little bit about the beginning of the journey. Like you certainly faced some depression and just like, why is this happening? Some of those thoughts showing up and then focusing on, no, I need to focus on moving forward and the healing process. So take us through a little bit of that healing process as like the mental side of it versus like the physical side, because how many surgeries have you had now?
I've had 14 surgeries to fix my arm.
Yeah. And that almost feels like every time you have a new surgery, it's starting over. Yes.
Yes. Yep.
And that's a challenge.
All over again. Yes.
Yeah. So when we talk about that mental work that you're doing, it is not, and we always say this, it's never a destination. And
it's a journey.
Because of what you always having to start over, it's like you think you're making this progress and you start over again, and then you make progress and then you start over again. Your mental strength must be insane to continue to move forward and start over again that many times.
I do feel like I am, I don't brag on it, but I do feel like I am probably one of the strongest mentally people alive. It's not to belittle anybody else or anything like that, but I just feel that I have a certain kind of mindset that no matter what you put in front of me, I'll just either go around it or go through it. And that's just it. I'm not going to make excuses about it because honestly, nobody really wants to hear it.
I love your self-talk. I'm getting excited of it. I mean, you can't see me on live, but I'm actually like doing the Rocky pose and put my fists in the air.
I'm looking at you. I got you.
I'm super amped because your self-talk is going to be one of your superpowers. And it is what has enabled you to get through some of this mess, some of these hard times. Like you have really persevered and pushed through, but you circled back to that voice inside of you that is telling, we've got this, let's handle this, put our shoulder into this and keep going. And not only that, something you said earlier is that you always focused on your children. What, if you don't mind, can you dive into that a little more?
So I have my oldest son, Kevin, is 11 years old, who is the best. And I honestly say this, that I couldn't have done it without him because I have a set of twins that are 4. So at the time, they were only 3 and like just made 3. So they were very young. And unfortunately, during this time, my wife left. My wife left while I was in the hospital. You know, it was, I don't know. It became too much for her. And then when I realized that it was just really me and these kids were looking up to me and I was the only example in the house to look forward to, I just put it in my mind that I can't fail. Losing wasn't an option. So I just continued to go to therapy faithfully and mentally, just talking through everything. It helped me just be able to process things and slow things down because it just seemed like everything was coming all at once. And I just had to kind of separate it and focus it. And eventually I was able to just start putting the pieces back together. It wasn't an easy process, but it was a process that I can say that I'm proud of that I did.
Yeah. Well, I salute that. And it's interesting because a lot of people go through one thing like, oh, I'm going through this. And we like to compare our trauma to other people's trauma. But I don't do that because there are people who go through things and it doesn't seem to, have an effect. And then they go through other things that we may see as minor and it's devastating to them because a trauma it's a very personal thing and it's how it affects us. But you went through 2 significant negative events simultaneously, 2 major events.
It just, like I said, I'm not trying to glorify it, but it just, dealing with that pandemic, it was tough.
Yeah.
But I just feel like you have to understand that you still have responsibilities and obligations that you have to go through, and day by day things will get better. Like, the son I'm talking about, my Kevin, literally came and told me, like, Dad, it's always darkest before the sun comes up. That's an 11-year-old.
Okay, we're gonna get Kevin on the show. I'm just saying that.
I'm serious. He's gonna have his own. He's gonna have his own podcast.
We love Kevin. I was just like, we love that fella.
I texted Cheddy about Kevin as soon as I watched the video about Junior. Like, I was just dying. I was like, who is this child? I'm in love with him.
Yeah, like the way he speaks, the way he just
so articulate. So well thought in what he says, how he processes it and how he expresses it.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. There are adults that cannot express themselves the way your son does.
And literally one day I was feeling bad and I was in my room. I remember I was crying.
Yeah.
And he said, Dad, listen, it's always the darkest before the sun comes up. How can you fail? How can you let that person down? You can't. You can't let that down. So that's my motivation.
Wow.
You mentioned something, and I don't know if I'm allowed to quote the video, but
absolutely, go ahead.
Your words. So you mentioned they had asked you a question about the journey that you had been on over the last year and what message you wanted to share. And very simply and yet very eloquently, you stated, life will hit you with some stuff.
Yes.
And no matter what, you can do it.
You can.
And you said your family loves you, your daddy loves you, your people love you. And there's something, it's just so simple in just saying, no matter what, you can do it. And you're living proof. And not only can you do it once, you can do it 14 times over the course.
Say that one more time. Say that again for the people who didn't hear it.
Right?
14 times.
14 times. So that's where, we can make this as complicated as we want to, and as like use all the thesaurus words we want to, or you just straight up say it as it is,
it
no matter what.
And you can't control it. Something could happen to either one of us today, and it's the cards that you dealt. However, I just feel that if you keep faith that things will be okay, if you have a certain mind frame going into it, like, it's going to be all right, I'm not going to let this, keep me down. And just because I might not make a full recovery, that doesn't mean that I didn't have a full recovery. I pushed my body to the limit, and then out of sheer mental tenacity, I'm going to push it another 20% regardless. So it's just not gonna ever, I just think that people can do it. Like, if they just really put their mind to it and they really are dedicated to it. You can't go into a recovery process like this excuse my language, half-assed. You just can't do it.
Right.
You're good. We actually qualified for the explicit podcast.
Yes.
Because we knew there's going to be some adult conversations on these podcasts.
Absolutely. Cool, man. All right.
And that was nothing. So just to be clear. You're good.
Thanks.
It's funny. As you're speaking, I like to say there's a winner's mindset. I love talking to certain individuals, high-performing individuals. Michelle knows this because she's one of them. But athletes, special operators, people that just do things that go above and beyond, because there's things that you just said that hit the nail on the head, and people that push their bodies and minds to the limit and then beyond understand what you just said. There's a limit, and then there's a beyond that, and you are always doing that beyond that work. And anyone can do that work. It's for you. It's mindset. You just have to tell yourself that you can do it. So you are personifying that to me right now. You are the personification of what this podcast is about. Overcoming adversity. And when we say overcoming, I'm like, it's done. No, I'm doing the work to continue my day and to continue living and to continue producing.
Literally left from physical therapy about an hour ago.
That right there is wow. Wow.com. Like, you are doing the work to continue to grow.
But
wow.
Fortunately, I will be going, and I'll be going back to work next month.
Whoa. What?
I didn't get a chance to tell you, but I had, like, last week, I had a physical fitness test, and I passed my physical fitness test, so they cleared me back for full duty.
Oh, my goodness.
Congratulations.
What?
Thank you so much.
All right. That is so cool. So New Orleans Police Department has a good one coming back. Stand by, people. They better celebrate big time when you get there. I want to see the videos. That's what I'm saying. I want to see the videos.
You got it. I'll make sure I send it.
Captain, I'm not going to call his name out, but Captain, whoever you are, I want to see the videos of this. You're going to blow this up. I want to see it on the website and stuff. Just saying.
You got
it. That is awesome. So I want to change topics a little bit, but really not. You, if I don't mind divulging, you had sent me a message at the end of last year. Hey, sir, I want to send you something. Okay. Hey, I'm putting out this film and I just want to see what you think about it. And that's when you sent me the video. And that's when I really knew. And I knew that you were going for rehab, and I thought it was just a surgery like my surgery. No big deal. You sent me the video, and I think it changed my life a little bit. It hit me in the feels. Like, I felt that. So talk a little bit about what the movie is about, and what is it? Just explain that whole journey if you can.
So my little brother just wanted to kind of capture this entire recovery process, not only for something for me to look back on, but something for my kids who are younger at the time. And we just wanted to, my brother knows me, and he was like, I just want to see your growth. I just want to be able to document it, to see, like, look, man, in September of 2020, you couldn't touch your face. I couldn't bend my arm. I couldn't do anything. And now you're doing whatever. And just seeing that from that video, we just wanted to kind of put out there that, one, you can do anything. You are capable of doing anything. And just to show people that, police officers too, we have lives too, and we go through things just like everybody else goes through.
Yeah.
And we're human just like everybody else. So I kind of wanted to just encourage people that no matter what they're going through, if you develop the right mindset, you will be able to accomplish your goals. And I just wanted to show my kids that, you know, no matter what obstacle was put in front of me, that I wouldn't let them down.
Wow. Wow. So does the when I saw it, it was still pre-production. So what is the name? Because I never knew what the name was.
we haven't even done anything because I'm waiting on the New Orleans Police Department. I sent it to them and they have to release it before I'm able to release it publicly. Like they told me I was able to share it with friends, but they didn't want me to put it on the internet or YouTube or anything like that as of yet until it was cleared. And they wanted to wait until the case was over, which just ended about a month ago.
Good. Which makes sense. Which totally makes sense.
Finally.
I was going to say congratulations to that too.
Yeah, that's closure.
That was definitely the closure that I was looking for, that I kind of needed.
Yes, 100%.
Good.
Yeah.
And the timing of it is fantastic with you getting cleared for full duty.
Back to work. But I don't think I'm going to be on the street anymore just because, you know, I know my arm isn't the same.
Yeah.
But I'm going back to doing detective work, which is still fine by me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because it's your dominant arm. Is that correct? You said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm still able to write. I lost feeling in my ring finger and my pinky finger from the damage from the ulnar nerve. However, one of the I think it was like my ninth one, they put a cadaver nerve in, so the feeling in my hands is starting to finally come back.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So I'll be able to do everything just like normal soon.
Science.
They've said it. If this injury happened 20 years ago, cut it off. Just cut it off.
Well, your doctor alluded to that. I could tell when he was talking, he was like, wow, I'm mystified. Like, he was amazed. He's probably going to write a book or some kind of journal about what
he did say. It's a case study. They've interviewed me for their case study for physical therapy and the doctor because he was like, it was the worst elbow incident he's ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I saw it. I saw the imagery and was like, wow, oh, wow. And just how you put those pieces together again. It was like Humpty Dumpty story. I don't know how many kings, horses, and men you need to put that together again. It was really shredded in there.
That's why I'm extremely grateful.
Yeah.
Extremely grateful.
I wanted to touch on that actually, because I know you spoke a lot about gratitude in the film. And the other thing that you've mentioned today several times is faith and just having the faith that things will turn out. And we talk a little bit about the difference between belief and faith, right? So belief is like, I can believe in myself and I like truly, you know, whatever it is, I had to develop this mindset, like you indicated, that you believe that you can accomplish anything, that you can overcome whatever is put in your way. You have that firm belief. But a lot of this process leaned heavily on faith, right? Faith that if I do not stop, that I keep moving forward, that I will develop this belief that I will heal 100% in whatever that 100% looks like for you, whatever healing looks like for you. So you spoke a lot about gratitude and a lot about this concept of faith. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to elaborate on that. Like, what did that mean for you for this process, leaning into the gratitude and leaning into the faith?
I would say that my faith was definitely tested. My faith in God was tested. And I would say it was about the time when my wife left and I just didn't understand what I was doing wrong. I was still in the midst of having multiple surgeries, and I just really had to give it to God and just say, God, I'm going to do whatever it is that I can do, and I'm just leaning on you to do the rest. And that's literally, in a nutshell, how my faith was. I just believed that God he just wouldn't abandon me. I just felt like he took me that far. He didn't let me die in that apartment. So he's not going to just let me just sit here and just be this depressed single dad with a limp arm. He wasn't going to let me, and I wasn't going to allow myself to do that. I know I had to put in the work, but I knew he had my back. And because I felt that I had that strong faith that God wouldn't, he just wouldn't forsake me, or if that's the word to use, I just felt that, I don't know, just from the get-go, I just felt like it's going to be all right. I don't know. It was something that just was over me that made me feel like it was just going to be all right.
Wow.
Like I can't really explain. I really can't. It's something that is very touching to me. But literally, as I got rolled in, I saw, because this is my this is my second time being shot. So the first time I got shot, I saw the same orthopedic surgeon. I'm like, you again, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, what are you doing?
Shouldn't be able to laugh about this, but yeah.
We don't do frequent flyer miles when we get shot. We don't need frequent flyer miles when it comes to getting shot. Okay.
Right. He's like, so we're both. I'm sitting on the table, and I'm like, you again, and he's like, you again. And I just felt a sense of, at that moment, you're going to be all right. Not because of him, not because of anybody else. It was like a feeling that came over me that told me, just trust in God and everything will be all right. And while, like I said, it was tested due to everything that was going on, I just never wavered. I just didn't feel like wavering. I didn't think that was the way to go.
Wow. If
that makes any sense. I hope that answers your question.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. It was more space for you to offer and share, your experience and your process, because they're so unique. And to what Cheddy said earlier, everybody's experience with, what trauma looks like, and even the healing process afterwards is so unique to the individuals. And we hear that a lot too, is when it comes to faith, it's almost as though there are no words that can explain it. It's more of a feeling.
It is. Definitely. It really is. That is hitting the nail on the head, because it just, like I said, it was a feeling that came over me that just was like, it's going to be all right. This is not anything that's just going to be, and I just felt like, as long as I didn't die, I just felt like, all right, you'll be all right. Like, regardless, I have a strong family, and, when they were able to finally come around and support, they did. Me and my mother's relationship grew better than ever. And me and my father, we were already like extremely close. And now it's just even more so. Like, during the pandemic, I can say this now, but he was a former police officer. He dressed in his police uniform and he snuck in the hospital a couple times. I mean, he did what he had to do. Like, Dad was coming.
I like him.
He was coming, but it didn't matter what it was. Dad was going to make his way up there.
Yes.
And so, and he has been and still is a huge factor in my recovery, because he's just always been there. Wow. Cheddy could tell you, when I was in Japan, he flew out there to come see me. He's never missed, ever. So how can I do that to my kids?
Mm.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. If I wasn't taking a seat, I'd be taking a seat. So I'm glad I'm sitting down right now, because this is powerful. This is a cup full of goodness. It really is. And I salute you. I'm going to drink some tea to that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Wow. I'm so impressed. And it's funny because, Kevin, you've always impressed me. I've always liked you. I think you knew that from day one. Like, you have some magic intrinsic to who you are that just made you one of my superheroes. And I am glad to have served with you. And
it
really,
has been an honor to serve with you, sir.
You know how I feel about that. So, and that goes double for me. And just to watch you shine and thrive and watch your development and your growth has just been the honor of my life, to watch you do what you do. So I salute you. I really thank you. And if there's anything you want to let the people know, please, I'm going to give you the time to just really share anything that you want to share with the people, any links, any organizations, anything that you want to showcase. This is your time to shine, brother.
Okay. Well, I just want everybody to know that regardless of what, obstacles are presented in front of you, try to be responsive and not react. And take a minute and understand what situations you have to develop a game plan. You have to develop a certain mind frame. This isn't something that happens overnight. You have to practice having a strong mind frame. So I would tell people that if they are going through things in their life, to continue to have faith that things will turn around. I would tell people that if things do seem like they are at their worst, like you can just go on YouTube. I get a lot of sense of motivation from soldiers who were wounded 10 times worse than what I was and listen to their stories. And you can really understand then that life may have dealt you a bad hand, but it could be a whole lot worse. And you should be grateful for that. You should be grateful for everything that you have in your life. And you should just continue to strive to be the best person that you could possibly be on a day-to-day basis. Not just because you're on a podcast or you're in front of your kids or you're in front of family. If you practice this on a day-to-day basis, I think you become invincible. You can go through anything. I never thought in a million years that I would be able to go through this. Even my father has told me, like, I would have quit. I never thought that I would be able to handle the amount of pain and stress and heartache all at once. But you have it in you. Everybody has it in them. It just is a matter of showing it and presenting it. If anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, it's K.2, K and DOT spelled out, and the number 2. I did have a GoFundMe page if anybody would like to donate, because my medical bills are rather high. My medical bills right now stand at $7.6 million. So if anybody would like to donate on the GoFundMe page, I do have a GoFundMe page open as well. But again, like I said, it's been an incredible journey, and I'm just happy to see where it has taken me, and I can't wait to see where it takes me next.
Awesome. Okay, to do a shameless plug, do you happen to know the GoFundMe page? Because I'd love to put it out there. I'm going to type it in once I find it, or once you give it to me. But if you know it, what is that? So we can say it for the people who are going to just go there right now.
I don't know the exact name of it.
No worries.
Yeah, we can say it in the wrap.
Yeah.
Right. I think
Cheddy,
it's just under my name, and then it has, N.O.P.D officer shot in the line of duty.
It's usually a kind of a long extension, so I think it might be better if we just mention it in the wrap. Like we can go back through and mention it in the wrap.
And add it to the notes.
Chunk,
right.
And then add it to the notes. Yeah.
Sounds good. We will definitely do that, brother. So.
Well, I appreciate that so much. And I just feel like the last thing I would say about it is I know everybody has different beliefs, but just believe in yourself more than anything. Believe that, you can do it. And that's really half the battle. If you can just get up in the morning and say, hey, listen, I dread going to physical therapy. I'm going to a place where I know they're going to put me in pain for 2 to 3 hours a day. And I get up with the mind frame, instead of that, saying, today is an opportunity to get better. Today is an opportunity to get stronger. And don't you want that for your kids? Don't you want to be able to throw a football or a baseball with your kids? Get up. So
Absolutely.
I just keep putting one foot in front of the other. That's all you can do.
Sweet.
Yes,
wow. Well, I have no words to say because there's nothing I can add to what you said other than I endorse everything you have said. So what Kevin said. If you want to know how I feel, what Kev said. Zach.
Thank you all so much.
No, I totally agree. I think that summarized everything quite perfectly. So thank you. I'm incredibly grateful for you to share your story and give us the opportunity to have that insider look at what your journey has looked like for healing and some additional information that you shared with us and our listener today. So thank you so much.
It's not a problem at all. Thank y'all so much for having me. It's been a wild ride. The ups and downs were very tough, but I mean, what you gonna do, right?
Yeah.
What's your option?
Yeah, like what you gonna just lay there? You just can't.
Yeah.
So
well, some people do. I'll put it out there. Some people do. So, you know,
yeah.
And what I really liked about your story is there are people who are at that decision point, that valley of decision where Do I just wallow in my misery, or do I keep stepping? And they're going to hear this and be like, you know what? He did it. I can do this too. And that's what we want, because I think there's going to be people listening to this podcast who aren't getting the help. And they're going to hear this and be like, I can do that too. Because you gave a whole bunch of tips and mindset shifts and things that they could do, like action steps they can take to kind of progress forward. So I think you've added a lot of value to a lot of people.
Thank you so
and
much.
I appreciate it. I am so glad that this is the 4th episode and it came out so early.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. And you guys, please send me all the information so I can put it on my social media pages.
Absolutely.
So I can get everything.
Absolutely.
Not just my story, because I want, the message that you guys are coming across is something that a lot of people need to hear now, especially with just COVID. And then now, look, we're about to go to war there. Well, Russia's invading Ukraine. Like, we don't know what that's going to be like. Just have faith, stay the course, and just put one foot in front of the other.
Thank you, brother.
That's all you can do.
I appreciate you sincerely.
Thank y'all so much.
We love you so much. We got to do this again at some point in the future. Really, we want to have a part 2 to this.
Check back in, and before you know it, I'll be doing pull-ups and push-ups like it's nothing.
Sweet. So everyone who's listening, if you want to follow Detective Kevin Doucette, it is at Instagram, KDOT 2, and find him, find his GoFundMe page, share it, put it out there. This is great work, and I appreciate him for coming on today. So this is the end of our show for today. I want to thank everyone for coming. But listen, as we always say every week, please subscribe, follow, share, and most importantly, use whatever adds value to your amazing life.
And remember, even if life puts barriers in our way, we are still moving forward. Sign in each Monday for a new episode of Winning Inside.
Take care, folks. Stay amazing. Hey, amazing people. I just wanted to come out here and add on to episode 4 of our podcast with Detective Kevin Doucette. I wanted to share his GoFundMe page, and I'll give it to you in 2 different ways. It is going to be https://gofund.me/356D93A and the number 8. Another way you can look for it will be by the title. If you go to GoFundMe, be wounded N.O.P.D officer shot in the line of duty. So I'm urging you guys to share, support if you can, and do what you can to help this warrior out. As you heard, the medical bills right now are currently at $7.6 million. That's more than Steve Austin, the $1 Million Man, $6 Million Man. So we need to support where we can. He's supported us for so many years in the Corps and in the police department, so we can do what we can to support him in his time of need. This is a selfless human being. He is the best of us, and anything you can do, please share this. Please take this seriously. He almost lost his life and lost his limb, and he's still fighting, and let's do what we can do to support him. Also, his Instagram page, again, is KDOTD2. So K.D2. And hopefully you can support him there as well and just give him some encouragement, follow him, share his story, support his GoFundMe page. There's a huge and significant need. If anyone out there knows ways that we can help Detective Doucette, please let me know so we can just kind of support him any way we can. So reach out if you know a way that we can be of benefit and support to him. All right, folks, stay amazing, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for listening to Winning Inside with Cheddy Matthews and Michelle Wickman. If you enjoyed today's show, please make sure to click the follow button, rate and review at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can connect with Cheddy and Michelle at winninginside.io. Keep listening. Another episode is coming soon.